All right, so let's try this again. So what's the equation? And this one's going to be the reteach for the quiz. You guys are going to be taking the quiz tomorrow, hopefully. So it says, what's the equation? Use scientific calculator for this. So we're going to actually go through, fill out everything on this. So hopefully y'all got paper to fill this out. And, you know, you're stealing it. Everyone's just stealing it from Karen, right? All right, so you may use scientific calculator. Sequence is defined by this. So what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
First term.
My first term is going to be
2.
2. First term is going to be 2, right?
Right.
And then, so it's going to be 2. But after that, what does it go with? So what do I do with that 2 now? I multiply by 4 because this is, if you guys remember, this is previous term. That's the previous term, right? So I take my previous term. So whenever I'm doing this, I need to take the previous term and then plug it in, right? So previous term is 2 and times it by 4, which gives me 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Now we do it again, right? We do it again. So if I do it again here, I'm going to take what number? What goes in next? 8 and multiply that by, which gives me? Okay. Do the same thing again, right? So I take my 32, multiply by 4, which gives me? $128? I hope so. Now, what is happening here? What is happening right here? What's that little dot mean? Multiply. So that means that this has to be, is it geometric or arithmetic? Geometric. Geometric is the multiplication, right? Arithmetic is going to be the adding and subtracting where it's continuously doing that over and over again. So this is going to be geometric. What's the growth factor or common difference here? Times 4, right? So it's going to be times 4. Write up the first 5 terms of the sequence. How many do I have here? I have 4. So what do I do to get the next one? Multiply, right? So it's going to be 128 times 4, which gives me? $512? $512. All right. Write the explicit definition for this sequence. My growth factor is what? 4. So it's going to be 4. What is my initial? 2, right? Now, do you guys remember how we did this? So if it is a geometric, how do I have to write this one? Power of, not 2, x. Or in this case, it's going to be my n, right? But what am I missing? What am I missing? I have to start off with my number, right? What's my number going to be? What's my starting number? 2. It's going to be times 2. So it's 2 times 4 to the n. So as I enter those numbers, let's see if it does work out still. If it still works out, so 0. So if I start with 0, 4 to the 0 power, anything to the 0 power is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. 2 times 1, that's 2. Okay, that's good. Next one is going to be a 1. 4 to the first power is 4 times 2, 8. And then keep going. So the next one will be 2, right? 2. So that's going to mean 4 squared is 16. Is 4 times 4 is 16. Times 2. There we go. So we do have these numbers, right? We do have these numbers, and these are going to be for what values of n? What values of n here gives me my first term and keeps going? What was my value of n here that started this? 0. So it would be n is greater than equal to 0. All right, so let's keep going. Growth patterns. Growth patterns. How many are in this first one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many's in this next one? Huh?
8, 16.
Or do it on hand. I don't have copies of this one.
Pacho, 8, 16, 24.
16,
24.
24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11. I'm at 11.
You meant 11, right?
I just tried doing it in my head. I'm at 16 minus
11. Oh, man.
16 minus 5.
11.
24, which is 5.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Boom. Adding 3.
Karen says adding 3. You guys agree with him? Yeah? Okay. So we say plus 3. List the number of squares for each step. Okay, I did that right. Write a recursive and explicit definition. Recursive means what? Previous number, so it has to include f of n minus 1. F of n minus 1. So what is my first one though? So I'm going to call it step 1, so it's going to be f of 1 is 8. And then it's going to be f of n equals f of there we go. This thing right here is the recursive, so it requires the previous. Now the explicit doesn't require the previous. Explicit is where I could jump straight to the term. Kind of like when we did that last one for the explicit, I could do the exponent thing. So now if I was going to do an explicit definition for this, I don't need the first term because it's got to be in this. So I would have f of 8 plus, because it's adding every time, right? Plus 3 n, very good. And what values of n is going to give me my answers? Would 1 give me my answer? What is 1 going to give me? It won't give me the first one. So what values of n? 0. So n got to be greater than equal to 0. Because 3 times 0 is 0, so my first term is 8. And so numbers greater than that, so it would be 1. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 8 is 11. There we go. All right, you ready? Two sequences. Sequence A and sequence B. On sequence A, what is it doing every time? Plus 1. Look at the pattern. What it does, it goes plus 2, right?
Yeah.
What about here? What about here? And here? So is it the same all the way across? Okay, it is the same all the way across. So that one's going to be plus 2. So I'm going to write the answer for the first one. Okay, so we're going to have 1 for both of them though. There's going to be an A, sequence A, and then down here sequence B. So we're doing A right now. So it's adding 2 every time. Is that geometric or arithmetic? Arithmetic, so it's adding 2. What's the growth rate or common difference? 2, so it's going to be adding 2. And this one is going to be arithmetic. Write the explicit and recursive for this one. So let's start off with recursive because that's the easiest one, right? Recursive requires the previous term, and the previous term needs the f of n minus 1. So what is my first term in this? 0? 0, so you're going to say f of, now look at the steps. F of 1 equals 0, and then it's going to be f of n is equal to f of n minus 1. You got to say the f of n minus 1, because that's the function of n minus 1. And now I do what? Plus 2. So that's going to be my recursive. Now let's do an explicit.
What does f of n mean?
This is the f of n is the function in terms of n. So n is the number of steps or the number of terms. Where we're normally dealing with x's, right? But this is n's because it's talking about a sequence. You're not going to take a half step, right? You're going to count the steps. You're not half stepping it. And that's why we're actually talking about this being in integers, in positive integers. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more of that later. All right, so we got this. Now let's do the explicit of this. Explicit. So explicit starts off with, so f of n. What's my starting amount? 0. So I could do 0 plus 2n, where n, there we go, greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so that's explicit. This is recursive. Now, let's look at sequence B. So what is it doing from step 1 to step 2? So from term 1 to term 2 does what? It goes up 1. From term 2 to term 3. From 3 to 4. And dang, all right, so how am I going to do that one? Multiplying by 2? Is it multiplying by 2? So it's doubling every time, isn't it? It's multiplying by 2. All right, so now if it's multiplying, so is that going to be geometric or arithmetic? So that one's going to be geometric. Okay, growth rate, I would say times 2, right? So it's going to be times 2. Explicit and recursive of this one. So I'm going to start off with the explicit this time. What's my starting number? For term 1 is going to be 1, right? So it's going to be 1. So f of n equals 1 times, what's my growth rate? 2 to the n power. Where n Very good. So that's explicit, and now let's do recursive. Recursive starts off, so I'll do it up here. So f of 1, right, equals 1, and then it's going to be f of n equals f of n minus 1 times 2, where n, not 0, not 1 either. Why is it 2? Right here, I stated my first term, 1, right? My starting is actually f of 1, right? So everything after that is what you're going to find. You're going to find all the other ones after that. So after 1, because that's given to you, is going to be 2. So from 2 on. Now, you could do this last one as recursive or explicit. I highly recommend the explicit because the explicit jumps straight to it. So let's do the explicit of A. So that's going to be A of 10 is equal to, what did I start off with on that one? 0 plus 2n, right? And what's my n?
10.
There we go. And now let's do B of 10. B of 10, so my function in explicit is going to be this one right here. So it's going to be 1, right, times 2 to the 10. So I'm hoping some people put this in the calculator because I cannot do 2 to the 10th in my head. I could, I just choose not to.
200,000.
I know 2 to the 5th is 32. 2 to the 6th is 1024. There we go. And this one gives me,
190,000 also.
there we go. Which one's greater?
B.
B. B of 10 is greater. Is that easy? Okay. Some people actually going through, hopefully you got something out of this and it's going to help you out for the retest. The retest is going to be tomorrow. So I'm going to post this video. Go back, review it as much as you can, as you need to. If you remember the test, didn't the test look exactly like this? So, exactly, same format, just change the numbers. Okay, same format, just change the numbers. So please, 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 make sure you are following along and you do participate. This is your grade.